Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 84. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for news recap number 133. So before I get into things, just want to give you a quick summary of things we'll be going over this past week in Star Atlas. There was an Atlas Brew, so they had some different topics there. There's an economic forum, some topics there, and that was the two real big kind of community things. And then I'll do my kind of two analysis segments of State of Star Atlas and kind of my journey. But before I get into that, just wanted to mention two of my Star Atlas projects I'm working on. One is my Star Atlas merch store. It's called Intergalactic Gear. It's at intergalacticgear.com. It's open for business, selling mugs, and that's about it. I've been working on a second product line, but a lot of family things have been going on, work. Yeah, lots of stuff. So anyways, unfortunately at night, I haven't been able to do much work on that. But if you also go to that website, I do have a merch survey, so I'd love to get any feedback. If you want to leave your email, you can put you on our mailing list for future updates. So again, you can check that all out at intergalacticgear.com. Additionally, I am very slowly trying to build a kind of another different Star Atlas community in case you're not in a guild or you don't want to hang out on the Star Atlas Discord, but nevertheless you want to talk to other Star Atlas gamers, but maybe come and go a little more asynchronous than the chat method of Discord, so it'd be more about threads and email alerts. You can go to intergalacticcoalition.com, and I do have an interest survey there. So, okay, let's go ahead and get into the bulk of the content. Like I mentioned, there was an Atlas Brew this past week. This brew was was fully about going over the Nabathon, basically the Star Atlas hackathon where people could submit different projects. So in addition to the winners, more details were given. All the other submissions, I believe, were mentioned. So that was great. The only downside I have to admit, they mentioned, oh, hey, I got a link, or I put the link in the chat. Well, I'm watching the Star Atlas TV, which again, just as an aside, I always do want to thank them for recording all the live sessions so I can catch up on the weekend. So I don't think that chat stays. I'm not 100% sure. They mentioned they're in the amphitheater. So again, I don't think those, anyways, doesn't matter, because in general, there's no place really to find all these links. So again, kind of like, oh, great. But after a while, I kind of just tuned out, and as I was multitasking, so, didn't really follow it. But again, because you can't really check it. Also, what was interesting was a number of them were mentioned as not actually working yet. Now, if these were the submissions that weren't the winners, I guess that's fine, but again, it was a little unclear on some things. So again, if you want to, you can watch that on Star Atlas TV, and then Beth, one of the other content creators, she did her LDR Too Long Didn't Read one on her YouTube channel. Both links are in my news recap if you go to my website, intergalacticherald.com, and look for news recap number 133. And that was pretty much it from the Star Atlas Brew. They did mention next week they're going to have a Star Atlas DAO Council debate, so, cool. We'll see how that goes next week. On Thursday, the economic forum occurred where Chris, the head of economics, went through things. So it's a great listen. He mentioned that it was going to be much more kind of on ideas than just charts and things like that. So, but it looks like they're going to be doing some changes, which were sort of announced, changes to the economy, which were sort of announced at the Star Atlas conference. So he went into a little more detail and kind of gave his perspective on that and elaborated. So the golden tickets are coming back. If you've been around Star Atlas for at least a year, you may have remembered those before. So the idea is in Sage, you can craft golden tickets. Craft golden tickets by finding resources and things like that. So that's pretty cool. They also mentioned the RFRs, which I forget what that stands for, but that was another thing. So in the end, and I think Chris said this, but definitely it's what I wrote down, was kind of diversifying the economy. And actually, I think this is pretty cool, and I'll kind of get into kind of some of my thoughts later. But anyway, so those were all kind of, so if you want more details, check that out. The other thing that was mentioned that has been talked about, I think on and off in the Star Atlas community, is about local markets. So just a real quick, at least my vague understanding. So we have the one marketplace right now where you can buy and sell, but that's, shall we say, outside the game. It is a form of a game, but it's, independent ships and everything else. These local markets, I think, are finally going to be in the game. So currently right now, the only way to get things into the marketplace, capital M, is to move them out of Sage and into your wallet, and then you can do things within the website, which is the marketplace. But these markets will be at each individual starbase. So again, still early, but my understanding is like, so on one starbase, not the Central Space Station, people could see something and buy and sell fuel. But the cool thing is, because the starbases can also have crafting, it basically means that each starbase is its own market for, I guess, everything. Maybe not everything, like chips. I don't know, but definitely the materials. Well, I'm speculating, but I would assume it's all materials you can mine and craft within the game. So whether or not that means like there's ship sales in each starbase, I guess they didn't say one, or I don't remember. But again, we'll see. But it was more about the idea of, there could be fuel. And so it was mentioned that there could definitely be a place for basically people who are simply freighters that are moving supplies from one starbase to another. So again, this all sounds really interesting. So, and then near the end of the economic forum, Michael Wagner, the CEO, popped on real quick. I think they were going to talk more about a specific topic, but it was late at the thing. But anyways, I'm not sure if somebody asked a question or whatever, but I did pick up that he mentioned that SCORE, so i.e. the faction fleet, now has a new end of life, and this was mentioned about fleet rentals. Now, I forget what the last time it said it was going away, but again, that's fine. They can continue to refine. So it sounds like and they were mentioning that there really wasn't a lot of people still in it, or at least active in it. So anyways, now the reason I bring that up is because that's pretty much all I'm doing right now. So definitely curious on that. So, okay, so that was pretty much it from the team. And I can't remember if there was anything in Discord. If it was, it didn't register because I didn't write it down. So moving on, kind of my thoughts, analysis on kind of the state of Star Atlas. So back on the hackathon, I think it was a great concept. I know Metaverse Explorer has been kind of mentioning for the past few years. He was wondering why there weren't more hackathons and get more people involved in the from the Solana community. And so I think in that sense, it was a great concept. They did mention that they learned a lot of lessons, but they didn't really expand upon that. So, and I think I heard earlier too, most of the submissions were people that were already part of the community, not really outsiders coming in. So again, I don't know if that was one of the lessons learned, like more publicity and things like that. I think they've also mentioned that, timing it with the Star Atlas conference maybe wasn't the best thing either. But so again, still sounds like a great concept. Seems like there was a good number of submissions. I can't remember if it was 20 or 30 or something like that. But as of right this moment, I still feel like I really don't know what people built. They mentioned it in passing, hey, this person won. Okay, well, where's the link? And now they took, 3 to 5 minutes to explain some stuff, put some links in a chat, which I don't think still exists. And so really, again, great, but I don't even know what the things were. So anyway, again, just kind of feel weird. I mean, it's like, oh, that town I don't even know what it is. I don't know how to do more research on it, things like that. The other thing is many of them were mentioned that weren't even done or functional, and so they didn't want to, quote, provide a link. And I'm like, okay, well, okay, great, you have an idea, but again, I don't know. And again, there's nothing wrong with building things. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, my merch store took forever, and sure, it's available now and you can buy a mug, but it's not anywhere near where I wanted to be, but there it is. There's a website, there's at least something you can interact with to learn more, like, subscribe to my newsletter or something like that. Anyways, so I don't know, maybe again, this is just the first time and these are kind of all the stuff, but it's just still really, really hard to understand what was created and if these would be interesting. So again, just reaction to the thing. So, and then the second topic was kind of on the economy. And I do admit these local markets are sounding very interesting with the idea that there's multiple places and multiple ways to look at things. And so I think definitely, quote unquote, diversifying the economy by adding this local market thing, but then also having multiple end games. So golden tickets is an end game, the RFRs, which directly can be sold for Atlas from the team, and then the current ones, which are the LP rewards and things like that. So I think, again, this is all going on the right direction. The only thing I can think of in hindsight is we went from golden tickets, they went away, then RFRs happened, then they went away, then the LP thing went away, and now we're kind of like, hey, why don't we keep them all? And it's like, couldn't we have done that before? But again, I'm not an economist. Definitely don't know what I'm saying about this stuff. But, again, it might just be, this is the growing process and you learn from one thing and you go, hey, this would be good. So all those things are good. But I guess I had not until now really realized that in some senses, the economy truly did basically just have a single focus. Again, golden tickets, RFRs and then the LP redemption. So yeah, I think it's all good. So again, just it's all interesting. It will be interesting to see how this transpires and if this gets more people involved in different aspects. So, and then the final segment, kind of my journey. Yeah, I didn't do anything. I'm just staying in the faction fleet, partly because I'm busy, but also again the current interaction after I did my mining stockpiling. There's just nothing there. And I was starting to think, well, is it nothing there because I don't have the time? Yeah. But also, again, there's no incentive. And again, I use the word incentive here because I don't consider it a traditional game where I'm doing it for enjoyment. There was nothing totally enjoyable about looking at my spare laptop and making sure Sly Assistant was doing what it did and things were moving, and all I did was see fuel being used and that. And then when I did some calculations, when she brought the Solana fees in, you weren't coming out ahead. So there was no monetary incentive to trade that money for time, but there also wasn't sort of like, oh, this is fun, I can't wait to check it. It was more like, gotta check it. So yeah, we'll see. But again, I'm totally happy with these economic changes. I'll wait to see how they actually apply and do that. And then I had a final thought on this whole thing, and I was realizing, because I'm sure, I've mentioned many times if you've been listening for a while, that my typical gameplay style is RTS. I used to play shooters, never got into MMOs, and now I just don't have the time, so it wouldn't be even that if I had an interest, I just don't play it. So the only things that are still installed on my computer are more of RTSs. And one thing I realized is that in, I think, almost all RTSs, there's usually some materials, but really there's two aspects. The materials directly relate to the economy, but the reason you have the economy is to build your units to then go out and do combat. So the economy was cool because it was a means to an end. If you got the economy going, just thinking of one off the top of my head. Well, actually, we'll go to the more common one. Probably not many people played Supreme Commander, but Age of Empires, that's probably much more of a common RTS that's out there. And so you found your villagers would go out and harvest food, wood, stone, and sometimes gold, I think. And then those were used in different intervals to train your different soldiers or build buildings and things like that. So that's the part I would call the economy. But then raising or training the soldiers and the cavalry was for combat, and then you go out and explore and try to find the if you're doing a mission quest, there was something you usually have to have combat to destroy the other people. And if your economy wasn't working, you wouldn't get enough soldiers, and so you didn't have enough. Balance of power was off. So what it dawned on me, again, it's one way to set the stage, is an economy without combat. I was realizing, if I knew I was going to go do combat and I needed soldiers or ships or whatever, crew, then I would maybe be more interested in building up my economy. But right now, the economy is to get Atlas, and I don't get enough Atlas to make it monetarily worth it. So I'm like, yeah, that's where the disincentive is the economy for economy's sake. Now, I have a feeling if you have a larger fleet, then there is some economic benefits, i.e. Atlas, which has then real world things. So again, I think it's a question of scale, and for some people it still scales quite nice, but for my fleet, it's not there yet. So anyways, just again, random things. So that's pretty much all I had on the list. Again, I guess if you look at everything kind of in the last couple of weeks, the Star Atlas conference, great. Prior to that was Crew. The summit had tons of great announcements. We're seeing some of them come through now in the economy changes, which makes perfect sense, but that's pretty much where we're at. And again, the DAO Council is moving forward. They're going to narrow it down, final voting, but kind of already mentioned. I just feel like it's not really, you can't have much impact again unless you have a lot of polis and you've locked a lot. And so I'd be really curious to see if, again, the actual council members are either flat out whales that voted for themselves. I'm not sure we can check that on the blockchain. Maybe we can. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. It's not cheating. It's how the system's set up. Or if there are alignments to guilds who can pool all their members together. So, think it's a great development moving forward. Definitely like that we have a DAO. Definitely like we'll have the ability for the community to do things. But again, kind of hard to be too interested to really understand who the candidates are when you realize you really don't even have a vote based on amount of polls I have and stakes. So anyways, again, not a negative, just my perspective. So anyway, so that's about it. We'll see what the weeks ahead brings. So thanks for listening. Again, definitely interested if anybody wants to be a guest. Could either be a community member, wants to talk about the week in review. I love to talk to other content creators, any builders who want to promote their project. Obviously, definitely open to any team members. Love to just chat about kind of things that would help beginners in Star Atlas. So don't have to get into any new alpha or new beta stuff, can look past where things work, ideas for beginners. So I'd love to hear you. Please go to intergalacticherald.com, look for my contact page, fill that out and send it to me. And again, just to self-promote my own projects, I do have my merch store at intergalacticgear.com. If you're interested in any Star Atlas branded mugs, I got 4 styles of mugs with different logos and things like that, faction logos too. Please go to intergalacticgear.com if you're not interested in buying, but you want to give me some feedback. I do have a merch survey. And again, if you like to hang out with other Star Wars gamers who aren't hanging out on the Discord, aren't a member of a guild, but nevertheless want to have a smaller community where you can hang out, come and go, get alerts when topics are of interest, please go to Intergalactic Coalition and fill out that interest survey. Other than that, thanks for listening. Hope you have a great week ahead. And this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.